Sacramento Kings basketball.
He's got the bucket!
Game night is presented by Power Business Technology, your locally owned and managed Toshiba copier dealer. Contact them at 844-POWER-BZ or visit them at powercopiers.com. Here's your host, Scott Marsh, alongside the high flyer, Henry Turner.
And a very pleasant good afternoon to you. Welcome into Game Day right here, Sacktown Sports 1140. Scott Marshall along with the high flyer, Henry Turner. The Kings and Wizards today, Game 3 of the 6-game road trip, the final one for Sacramento as they take on a Wizards team that has the second worst record in the league. Coming off the tough loss against the Pacers, had that 9-point fourth quarter lead. Could not hold on to it, had a 16-point second half lead, could not hold on to that. The Kings find themselves in the 10 spot, a half game back of the Dallas Mavericks, 3 games under 500, 36 and 39. It is a beautiful afternoon in our capital city. Right now, things feel a little cloudy over the Kings. The one thing we do know today, and on Friday for that matter with Charlotte, the Kings have 2 extremely winnable games.
You know, Scooter, I don't want to call them winnable games. I'll call it get-right games. They got 2 games for the Kings to get right, for the Kings to go out, have some productivity on the basketball floor, for the Kings to go out and try to start playing basketball the right way, to go out and close a fourth quarter out, to go out and not have a bad start in the first half, to go out and try to lead from start to finish. They can use these 2 games to do so many things and try to get back right.
We'll be with you until 3:30 today, getting you ready for Kings Live pregame, 4 o'clock tip in our nation's capital. G-Man with the call. We've seen the Kings lose in a variety of ways. Obviously, the first game in Orlando on this trip was non-competitive. They got down early, never got back into that game, losing by 30. It was a totally different deal on Monday. Kings played well, played a good first half, played with effort, came out with energy.
Mm-hmm.
No mistaking that. And even I thought throughout the game, I mean, energy was not the problem. I mean, these are one of those games where if it's middle of the season, you're not feeling good about the loss. You're breaking down why you lost, but overall you're living with it. Things are obviously a lot more extreme right now because we're running out of games, and each game is just that much more important. This was the case of the Kings just kind of collapsing offensively in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that is true, Scooter. You know, right now, a L is a L and a W is a W, and you really don't want to be in that first slot. But it's always a sentiment of not win or lose, but how you lose.
Mm-hmm. When
you lose basketball games to where, you know, like what they did in Orlando, unacceptable.
Exactly.
Unacceptable. They played a decent basketball game in Indiana, you know, but just got beat by a better basketball team. And really, 2 guys hit 2 jump shots to really break your back. You know, the one by Tyrese Halliburton and then the one by Pascal Siakam.
Yes.
At the end.
It was only 4 of 15 in that game.
Right. You know, and at some particular point, you kind of knew he was going to get one to drop, you know, but at the end of the day, they played a decent game. You take that one with a grain of salt. You don't like it, but you're like, okay, it's NBA basketball, and they played well.
And they played a good team.
Yes, and they played a good team. But now you come up to Washington, and we got Charlotte before we get back to Sacramento. So, like I said, I hate calling them winnable games because, every game is winnable.
Sure.
I want to call it what I really think it is. It's a get-right game.
Yep, it's a get-right game. You know, again, the term must-win game, to me, I don't like using because until you're eliminated, if you don't win, I can't technically call it a must-win game. But, you know, I'm just right at that level right below that.
And how about this, Scooter? If you call it a must-win game, okay, let's say you play the game and you only win almost at the buzzer.
Yeah.
It's not like you're getting right.
No.
That's what I was saying.
True.
I like call it a get right. I want to see this team get right.
Yeah.
You know, of course, win the game.
Yes.
But get right. Because if you come out and let's say you still win the game against Washington, but you struggle to win,
right,
you're not feeling positive about this game.
no.
You don't want to take anything from this game and say, okay, this is the positive side. The positive thing is that, okay, you won, but you're still in the same situation if you didn't win.
No doubt.
You're still in the same spot. So I want to see them get right.
Agreed. Wizards are 16-59. They're in the last place in the Eastern Conference. They're only a half game better than the Jazz, who are currently 16-60 for league's worst record. The Wizards will be without most of their starters tonight. We'll have a full Ginger and Hammer injury report going into this one. So that's another factor. You're not only playing a Wizards team that just right now is barely competitive, but they have nobody playing for them either.
You know, Scooter, they called me, man, about like 15, 20 minutes ago. And I told them, I'm like, you know, I got obligations. I got game day, man. I had to turn them down.
That's the worst move you've made all season long.
So I'm just saying, that's how bad it is playing for the Wizards.
That is pretty bad.
You know, I'd rather be in here on the mic than to go out and play for the Wizards.
That says a lot. That tells you everything you need to know right there. All right, let's break down Kings and Pacers. And again, if you want to join us, you certainly can. We'd love to hear from you today. 339-1140. Or you can call us at 1-800-920-1140. We're up and running in our YouTube chat as well. All comments welcome in there. Go to YouTube. If you have not subscribed to our page, just simply go to Sacktown Sports, subscribe, and you can join in on all the fun going on there as well. But we talked about it. I mean, it was really a couple of defensive lapses late. Tyrese gets the 3, Siakam gets the 3. And if you really want to get technical about it, it was just a poor play of the pick and roll up top, and Sabonis got caught out of range on a couple of occasions.
It was a situation to where really the Kings played right into the Pacers' hands. And I can see how you get caught up in that because it's a high pick and roll.
Right. And they switched it.
It's a high pick and roll for your two best players.
Right.
To put them in their best positions because Tyrese Halliburton knocks the majority of his three-pointers down from the wing. Yep. From the wing spot at the three-point shot. And the same thing with Pascal Siakam at the top of the key. Well, they ran it the first time. Tyrese came off and was able to step back and knock down the 3.
Yeah, and the Kings switched, had Sabonis on him. And Levine, they were trying to switch back in that situation. Levine couldn't get out there.
Yes, he was able to step back and knock down the 3. You know, in my mind, this is me, but then again, hindsight is 2020, is that when Halliburton comes off that pick and roll, and you don't want him shooting that ball or making the pass back to Pascal Siakam, you double team.
Yeah, you blitz it.
You trap the ball. You know, switching it doesn't help. Now, guess what? Sabonis is on an island.
Yep.
All right. And if you're a smart point guard, you got Sabonis on you. You can blow past him when you get ready. So what you do is you put the ball in your left hand. You blow past Sabonis, and Zach, you better help. Because if you don't help, I'm all the way downhill. I just beat your center.
Yep.
Who's at the rim? So when Zach comes over to help, you kick it to Pascal Siakam. He all alone at the top of the key. Once again, the play is successful.
No doubt. And the second one, they did right it or double team it a little bit. They forced Halliburton, but of course they left Siakam wide open after Halliburton hit the first one.
You have to have the extra rotation. You know how we talk about.
That's right. The weak side rotation is not there.
You know how we talk about players have to be on a string.
Yep.
That's what has to happen. Now, I understand weak side. You don't leave Steph Curry. I understand that. But, you know, and then there are not too many players in this league that's like Steph.
No.
Even if you have to leave your man for a second and stunt at Siakam. That's called fake, y'all, just in case you don't know. Stunning is when you act like you're going to go guard him, but you don't, and you get back to your man. That's stunt. At least act like stunt on Siakam to where he sees a guy coming to where he just don't catch and shoot, right?
Right.
And you get back to your man. Now Sabonis or Zach can get back to Pascal Siakam.
Exactly. And to Siakam's credit, he was 0 of 3 from distance. As we said, he was 3 of 14 before hitting that shot. He made a shot.
A big-time player makes a big-time shot.
Yep.
You know, how many times do we talk about that in the NBA?
All the time, every day.
You talk about it all the time, you know, and as a team, you really have to make a decision on what's going on, because it's like, who's going to be most adept at hitting this last second shot? Is it Pascal Siakam from 3, or is it going to be whoever else is on the side?
Sure. Nembhard getting a runner in the lane.
Right.
So, defensively, I mean, we can talk about those particular lapses, and certainly they contributed to
Obi
the
Toppin in the corner.
Toppin in the corner, who is just shooting the 3 ball
well
right now.
He been knocking it down too.
He has, no doubt. But to me, and I think most people agree, get your opinion on this, it wasn't the defense that truly let them down. It was the stagnation on the offensive end that was the biggest problem in the game on Monday night.
That hurt because, the Kings don't predicate themselves on stopping anybody in order to win a basketball game. That's not been their mantra. That's not been their MO the whole year. They predicate themselves on being able to outscore their opponent. And when that's not happening, they're in a bad situation because, they really don't have the yin to their yang.
Mm-hmm.
It's either we're shooting the ball at a Herculean rate, we can play with anybody, we can beat anybody, or we're shooting the ball, okay, we can squeeze out a game, but 9 times out of 10, we can't sustain that level and we lose.
Exactly. And again, that fourth quarter, we saw a lot of DeRozan. And of course, DeRozan's one of the best clutch scorers in the league. But even having said that, it felt like it was in DeMar's hands too much. He didn't necessarily have a hot hand in that fourth quarter, and then there wasn't a lot of options afterwards.
This is how we've been using DeMar all year. I think the blame can be spread around. Doug Christie don't take all of it. Doug and Mike has to take a little bit of this, because that's how we've used DeMar since he walked through the door, is put DeMar in the low post or at the free throw line,
right.
Give him the ball and get out of the way. He will get to his spot and he will score. The one thing that is the blessing and the curse is that DeMar is able to score in those particular situations. Okay. That's where he likes to have the ball. That's where he puts in his work and does his most damage. But it's a way how you get him there. It's the lead up to it. We know he's going to get the ball in the mid and the low post, but what about the lead up to that? When you just throw the ball to him and everybody stand on the other sideline and watch, well, you got almost 9 guys watching. And after a while, Scott, the opposition, the defense starts coming over one step closer, one step closer, one step closer, one step closer. Now, all of a sudden, DeMar got to get up off the ball or take a bad shot because everybody is rotating over closer to him, and you get nothing else on the other side. No action, no moving,
Somebody's got to be
cutting,
cutting baseline, something.
Yes, you get none of that on the other side, so you're going to get just a bad shot or a short shot.
Yep, and that happened to the Kings. Again, they, as if just to tantalize things, they hit 3 threes late in the game when the game was pretty much decided. They got 11 quick points.
That's called false gold, if you ask me.
Yep,
that's fool's gold.
Yep, it was. It was, because there was a 12-point fourth quarter up to that point. And, Malik Monk, again, just hasn't been himself since coming back from that illness. He had his worst game of the year. He was 2 of 14, 5 turnovers. And just, he's not the Malik Monk right now that we're accustomed to.
No, I mean, he hasn't been playing well. I will say a couple of things. Number one, Malik Monk really ain't been the heroic Malik Monk since De'Aaron left. His game changed big time, but he's still been able to be productive out there. And then when he got, was it hurt or sick? Which one?
Sick.
When he got sick and he came back, it's like, okay, yeah, Malik is back, but it isn't the Malik that we're accustomed to.
No, and it's interesting. The minutes haven't been there either. They've been ramping him up. I mean, he played under 20 first game back, just over 20 second game back. He was at 28 in this game. So it's just interesting. I mean, the Kings had 12 bench points. We know they didn't have Jake LaRavia in the game, but boy, that's tough to overcome when you only get 12 points off the bench.
Right. And, and it's quite interesting too, Scott, that we're back to, do Malik come off the bench or do Malik starts? Right. And I look at it like this. Is it only in Malik's hands? You got 5 other guys out there on the floor.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me, 4 other guys
Sure.
out there on the floor. Is it, you got to always look at Malik and say, okay, the problem is if Malik starts and Malik don't. I don't think so.
Yeah. But what's interesting, Keon's had a couple quiet games. In Orlando, he had 2 shots. He only had 4 shots in the game on Monday at Indiana. Played 27 minutes. And again, Keon's not a guy I think we're looking at in the same way like Zach LaVine. He's got to get his 15 shots up. I don't mean that at all, but
I tell you
to
what,
go 2 and then 4.
Hey, if he's starting,
more than that.
If you're starting, you need at least 10. If you're a starting point guard, if you're coming off the bench, that's fine.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not saying this is his mentality, but it seems like the last games he's been starting, he's been having basically coming off the bench mentality.
Yeah. It's interesting. If you look at the bench and you take away Malik Monk, which obviously is the biggest member coming off that bench, between Lyles, Valanciunas, and Fultz, they only took 5 shots. They had 5 bench shots.
That's crazy.
If you eliminate Malik Monk's 14 shots in that game.
That is crazy. I'm looking at the whole totality of everything right now, Scott. And with this basketball team, for me, it's by any means necessary.
Yep.
Whatever it is you have to do. And if I'm Coach Christie, I'm putting in my guys that I know is going to go out there and play hard. Because right now, it makes no difference if you're talented. It makes no difference if you're a 3-point shooter. Whatever you did before you came to this organization really makes no difference because everybody's on an all-time low. Yep. So at least I know the guys that I put out there is going to give me the energy and effort, and that might translate to something good.
No doubt. All right, we're late for a break. We've got to take it. When we come back, we'll continue to break this one down. We'll get you caught up on all the standings in the Western Conference, everything going on. Game night's underway on a Wednesday afternoon. Kings in Washington to take on the Wizards. Game night being brought to you by the law firm of Gingery Hammer and Associates. If you're ever in an injury, just call Gingery. More game night right here. Sacktown Sports 1140.
All right, we are live on YouTube.
Anthony, what's going on, buddy?
I'm tired, man.
Are you?
I'm
How
tired.
old are you?
I'm 23.
You're not allowed
I'm
to
not
be
allowed to be tired?
No, sorry.
Sorry. All right. I got to get through a few more years of watching this basketball before I'm allowed to be tired.
Henry, come on, man.
Anthony,
come on.
No. Hey, when I was your age, I would get up 8:00, go straight to the court, play all day from like 9 to 5, come home, eat dinner, meet right back up at the playground at 7. We're going to play from 7 to 10 because that's when the lights go out.
Yep. Anthony, what's your day like? Besides, I know you're working here.
When I was that age.
Yes. What are you doing at the age of 20?
I'm physically not tired like that. But today I went to the gym at 6.
Good for you.
And then
Okay.
Yeah, so that was the beginning of my day. Then I went to the dentist at 8.
Oh, fun.
And then I just kind of hung out until this.
Okay.
Today I had a little bit of a lazy day in the middle. So that.
All right. But you're not going to tell us you're tired anymore.
No, I'm not allowed to say that.
You're tired of watching the Kings lose.
That's what I meant. Yes, I'm tired of watching the Kings lose.
Now, if you put it in that perspective, you won't be alone.
Yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, you won't be alone.
And it seems like the comments are with me on the YouTube chat right now. They're actually way more lively than before. I think that it's gone from numbness to anger. I think that there's a lot about the ISO that you guys were talking about, the dump it to Debo and wait offense. I think a lot of people are sick of that. Just trying to get any clarity on what the team is the general vibe of what's going on right now.
No doubt. We know that Doug Christie's in charge of the defense. So we found out when Luke Laux left, and it was asked because Luke Laux had been a big part of their defense. And Doug was like, I've been in charge of this defense for a while, right? He kind of took over and said, hey, look, we're not losing something in Luke Laux, but I've been the guy, right?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But on the offensive end, I don't know if we've had that clarity or not in terms of just how the breakdown is with the assistant coaches and everything else going on there with Jay Triano and everybody else.
Ooh, I mean, whatever it is, it needs some tuning up.
Yep.
And I'm going to say both of them. Both of them need some tuning up. I think defensively for this basketball team, I probably would go a lot of zone. I would. I probably would play a lot of gimmick defenses for this team because you have too many guys that you have to make up for their lack of on-ball play. So I would pretty much pack the paint a lot. Now, with that being said, you might not be able to, really contest at the three-point line, but I still would be in a zone and I would stretch it. I would stretch a matchup zone all the way out because once players get past our front line defense, secondary D is non-existent.
Nope.
It's over with. They're to the basket and scoring.
And we've talked about rim protection all season long. Valanciunas has helped maybe marginally.
Yes, as far as being a body down there.
Yeah.
But really, and let's
We're
say
almost back on. Save that thought.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome back into Game Day right here, Sacktown Sports 1140. Scott Marsh along with the high flyer, Henry Turner. Kings and Wizards, Sacramento, trying to get their first win on their last road trip here. And for Sacramento, just 7 games left in the regular season. Some good conversation in our YouTube chat during the break. We were going over that. Henry, I want to let you kind of finish a thought. Didn't want to cut you off, but we were coming back to on air. So we're talking about the defense, the rim protection. We've talked about it all season long. You're saying maybe defensively the Kings might want to play a little more zone.
Yeah, I mean, whether it's zone, Scott, or some type of gimmick defense, because our on-ball defense has really been atrocious, and secondary defense is just non-existent. Once guys get past their guys, the rotations aren't there.
Yep.
So they get to the basket and they score at will. I think I would pack the paint a little bit more to help out with rebounding and all of those things. And when it comes down to just guarding the three-point line, I would stretch the zone out. My matchup zone would have to just stretch out a little bit. But at the end of the day, if you get beat on the ball in the zone, it's somebody else that's there that's going to at least be able to get a hand, get a body in there instead of having just straight line drives to the basket.
Yeah, no doubt. And, I would say I would push back a little bit and say, well, you're giving up too many threes if you go zone, but I can't push back on that because over this last 13 game stretch, and it's been not just last 13 games, but all season long, but during the 13 games specifically, the Kings are last in 3-point field goal percentage. So what they're doing defensively right now isn't defending the 3-point line.
No, they're not. So, okay, if you're not defending the 3-point line, at least you got a decent defense in the twos to where you can, defend the 2-point shot, the floaters, and you could probably do something at the basket and get rebounds.
Yep.
It's going to have to be a give and take. You're not going to be able to just stop everything out there, but you got to play towards your strengths.
Agreed. All right. So we look at the Western Conference standings. The good news, you want to look at the good side of this. The Kings are still in the top 10, still in the play-in. They're a half game behind the Mavs. We know they have the tiebreaker against Dallas. Mm-hmm. Dallas tonight takes on Atlanta at home. Hawks are playing better basketball right now. By no means is that a gimme. And the Mavs lost to Brooklyn on Monday night. That was a gift for the Kings.
Yes.
Helping them out. Below the Kings, there's really nobody. I mean, nobody has a chance besides Phoenix. The Blazers are pretty much out of this one right now. The Suns are 2 games back in the loss column. They don't have Kevin Durant. They lost in Milwaukee last night. They've got Boston coming up next. They go to New York on Saturday. The Suns feel like they are treading water right now.
Well, really, the Suns are probably in the same position as the Washington Wizards right now because everybody is broke up and everybody is out.
Yeah.
So, and then they're playing their big time part of the schedule. They got big time teams coming in. So I don't see where Phoenix is feeling good.
Not at all.
About the situation.
No, Phoenix's situation is tougher than Sacramento's right now.
And I hope it's not one of those things too, because Scott, just like we're watching the schedule, we're watching the games and everything, the players are doing the same thing. So I hope it's not a situation to where the players are looking at it saying, oh, okay, we ain't got to worry about what's going on right now because we're going to be cool. We're going to make the play in, and then, we'll be able to do something to play in. That's why I want them to get right now.
Sure. Just a basic question. I mean, even if you blow out Washington, I mean, a team that's 16-59, don't have many of their starters. Can that be getting right against a team like the Wizards?
Just seeing some productivity out there on the floor. Now, is it going to fix everything, Scott? No. But when you have a basketball team like right now for the Sacramento Kings, to where, body language and morale probably is low.
Yep.
We've seen that. So when you go in and you win a basketball game by 15, 20 points, of course, you're going to see some guys smiling. You're going to see better body language out there on the floor. Guys are going to start feeling better by themselves. That will be a step.
Right. If they can do that, carry it over in Charlotte, maybe they get a little momentum.
That's what I'm saying. It could be a step. I'm not saying it's going to fix everything that the Kings have going, but it will be a step for them getting back in the right direction.
All right, let's go out to the phone lines. Edward, thanks for calling into Game Day. How are you, my friend?
Hey, I'm good. And I'm with Henry on this play in the zone. And I don't understand why Doug won't play Valanciunas and Sabonis together. They should be playing in a 2-3 zone. Start with both of those guys down low and the other three pressing the three-point line. And let's see if they can make three-pointers.
All right, Edward, appreciate the call. Thank you for that. We've talked about that a lot, especially since the trade, that we thought we might see that. We did see it initially, but haven't seen a lot of it of late.
The problem is, and I'm with the caller. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing those two on the floor together. But the problem is that the oppositions that we have been playing, when you put Valanciunas out there, he's been having to guard guys that can stretch the floor.
Right. And Valanciunas can't guard the three-point perimeter.
And Valanciunas can't guard nobody out there at the stretch. Even when you look at, say, okay, well, if they're playing New York, Karl Anthony Towns, no. Valanciunas can't do nothing with Karl Anthony Towns at that three-point line.
What if you put him in the middle of the zone?
That's what I would do. Zone, put him right there in the middle. A big body that's going to stand there and make some guys change their shots. That's why I said, now, when you put Valanciunas in the middle, what you running? A 2-1-2? That's fine. If you want to match up for the three-point shot, you put him and Sabonis down low, and you run a 3-2. Like I said, I would run so many gimmicky defenses with those guys, but it's able to keep those guys on a string and everybody kind of like in the right parameters.
All right. When we come back, we're going to go around the league. Did you get a chance to see any of that Minnesota-Denver game last night?
No, I've been a little low. I've been a little down on NBA basketball lately.
Game of the year last night.
I'm sorry, I didn't
Absolute game of the year. Let me just put it to you this way.
Jokic went off.
He had a 60-point triple-double in a loss.
Yeah. He went off. I mean, I do watch Sports Center.
Okay,
I watch ESPN, but I haven't wanted to sit down. I really, Scott, I've been so disappointed, bro. I really haven't had the muster to just sit down and say, let me watch another NBA game, because it irritates me so bad to see a team play well and my team is not playing well.
I feel it. I get it. All right, let's go to the break. We'll come back. We'll talk about that game, everything else going on in the association as well. This is Game Day. It's brought to you by Mercedes-Benz of Stockton. Check out their full line of luxury vehicles at mbofstockton.com. More of Game Day right here, Sacktown Sports 1140.
All right, we are back live on YouTube.
All right, what's the latest in the chat?
I think that a lot of people are disappointed in the attitude or perceived attitude of the players, just effort, and I think that everyone feels that the effort has seemingly been lacking.
Well, the Orlando game, was
I think that most of
undefendable, right?
Yeah, most of the Indiana game was great.
Yes,
until the end.
Truthfully, it just came down to execution in that game. It wasn't an effort factor whatsoever. And we talk about DeMar, having the ball a lot, which is understandable because he's a great scorer, but nobody else got anything else done either. I mean, Monk tried to get inside. He couldn't finish. They tried to pick and roll with Sabonis. He didn't finish. So it's a little unfair, a little misleading to say it was just DeMar entirely, but we do need to see better offensive execution. Bottom line.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the case with most basketball games. It's a combination of a million different things going wrong or right.
How many times is Malik going to go 2 of 14?
Yeah, exactly.
Here's the thing, too. It's not just Malik going 2 of 14, but here's a bigger problem. Zach ends up with 8 shots and Keon ends up with how many?
Keon just had 4. Now Zach had 15.
Okay.
Yeah, he was 7 of 15. He missed 8 shots.
And 15, I'm fine with that. But I'm saying Keon only had four attempts. You're starting, bro. Come on now.
Yeah.
You're starting, bro. You got to give me more than that. You have to. I don't care how well you're supposed to be facilitating, because how many assists did he have?
Are we talking in the case of Keon?
Yes.
He had 4 assists, no turnovers.
Okay. Love the no turnovers. That's great. But if you're going to be a point guard that's starting, that's not scoring, you better have a ton of assists.
Mm-hmm.
You better have a ton of rebounds, because you have to be able to do those things in order for your team to be successful.
Yeah. And if I'm Doug, I'm moving Malik back in the starting
I am
lineup.
too. I'm glad you said that, Scott. If I'm Doug, Malik goes right back to where Malik was, starting at the point guard position.
Yeah. You got to shake it up a little bit here. And obviously Malik has earned it. He's shown it. And why not? Why not at this point? Hopefully Malik is feeling 100%.
He's been the best thing that you've had, including when De'Aaron was here at that starting point guard position.
Yep. All right. What else? Anything else in the chat?
More disappointment and more anger, like I said in the first segment. Some people talking about the Denver game last night, which was great. I watched that as well.
It was the best game of the year.
It was so good. And the ending was really fun.
Amazing for Westbrook to blow a layup and then foul with 0.1 to go.
Live by Westbrook.
On the 3-point line.
Hey, Westbrook being Westbrook.
He missed a wide open layup. Just
Russell
left it short.
Being Russell.
Yeah.
It's wild because he was so huge in that game as well.
He played a great game,
so
and that's why
well.
it's hard to cap on him, because he's played so well for Denver.
But that's what's so fun about Westbrook is you watch those games and then randomly it's you're either cruising with Westbrook or you're not. We got about 10 seconds left.
Welcome back into Game Night right here, Sacktown Sports 1140. Scott Marshall on with the High Flyer, Henry Turner, taking you until 3:30 today. Kings and Washington. Kings looking for the season sweep against the Wizards, a team that is just 16-59, a game that Sacramento desperately needs here before moving on to Charlotte, another game that they could obviously use. We'll break down all the matchups versus the Wizards. We'll get you caught up on who's not playing in Washington in our next segment. Let's go around the league, kind of catch you up on some of the other news. We were talking about the games from last night, and it was a great night for the NBA last night. First of all, that Minnesota-Denver game that went double overtime, an incredible game that just kept yo-yoing back and forth. The Joker went for 60 points, 10 rebounds, had 10 assists, a 60-point triple-double. Last time that happened was 62 years ago in the league. Of course, Will Chamberlain.
I'm about to say, you know it had to be Will.
But Russell Westbrook had a chance to put Denver up with under 10 seconds to go by 3. He missed a wide open layup, and then back at the other end fouled the 3-point shooter with 0.1 on the clock. As Minnesota able to win that game.
Now, was that a frustration foul?
No, he was out of place. He missed the layup. He got caught back in transition. He didn't immediately sprint back after missing the layup, was slightly out of space, came lunging out at the shooter, and then after shot was up, fouled him. And it was amazing that they determined there was still 0.1 on the clock, because it was that close to not being a foul.
You know, for all you young kids out there that, want to be, players, understanding if you miss a shot,
got to get back.
So what? You have to get back on defense.
You got to get back. And, Westbrook's been so great for Denver this year. It's hard to just single him out and say he lost them the game. That's probably unfair. But, boy, it was an amazing turn of events.
We just give it to Westbrook because we like to.
No doubt.
I mean, we know what type of career he had and, all the triple doubles. And, he's really revitalized his career right there in Denver. This is some of the best basketball he's played, in my eyes, for like the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, it's been amazing. It was Nickeil Alexander-Walker, I think, who hit those free throws at the end to give it for Minnesota. So a huge win, 140-119 to 139. So right now, you look at that Western Conference, it mattered for both teams. The Nuggets now have the same amount of losses as the Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
Both 29 losses. The Lakers are 46 in 29, Denver 47 in 29. So they're both trying to get that third spot. And, you know, I don't know if it matters 3 or 4. You're getting a home round playoff. But the one thing you can say about you would not face Oklahoma City until the conference finals.
Right. You know, what are we looking at now? We got OKC number 1.
Yep. Rockets are in the 2 spot.
Rockets are in the 2 spot. We talk about a team that was a joke last year.
Right. Now, the Lakers beat them on Monday night. They kind of
Right.
keep their hopes of moving into the 2 spot. But yeah, they've been incredible. They went through a tough patch, but they certainly have turned that around. They've won 8 of their last 10.
So Lakers and Denver are fighting for 3.
Correct. You've got the Warriors
At
right
5.
now, moving right up there, 44 and 31. How about Steph last night going for 52?
52, letting it go from 3.
Incredible game.
Whenever you have a Steph on your roster, you're in every game. I'm sorry. You are in every game.
No doubt. They beat the Grizz 134 to 125. So Curry 52, 10 rebounds, 8 assists. He almost had a 50-point triple-double. It was the first time ever in NBA history that 2 former MVPs went for 50+ on the same night in a game. So it was a great night in the league. And right now, the Warriors are surging and the Grizz are plummeting. You know, they're going right down. They're plummeting. They could fall into the play-in very easily.
Yeah. And it's crazy what they got going on, you know, because before, you know, they let Tyler Jenkins go.
Yeah.
They were playing pretty decent basketball. You know, Ja was in and out of the rotation, but when he was in, they looked better.
They've lost 4 straight, 8 of 10.
Wow.
So they're hovering right now. They have the same amount of losses as Minnesota and the Clippers. So you got to feel that Memphis, the way things are trending right now, they're going to fall out of the playoff. They're going to be in the play-in. And then maybe that even opens up a little extra hope for the Kings. Should Memphis, you know, lose that first play-in game, you're able to win your half of the play-in game. All of a sudden you're matched up against a Memphis team that is not playing well with a chance to get into the playoffs.
Right. You know,
that's the best case scenario right there.
To try to find some silver lining or basically an easy route out of the play-in. But once again, the Kings got to take care of their business first.
No question. All of that is just speculation right now. And how about this with Memphis too? This story coming out earlier today that the NBA, this was Shams, saying the NBA is looking into Ja Morant using his hands and arms to mimic shooting a gun toward the Golden State Warriors bench late in Tuesday night's game.
He just can't.
They're also looking, I guess, Buddy Hield. There was a gesture ahead of that they're looking at as well. So it just says they'll conduct an investigation, talk to involved parties as soon as today.
Some guys just can't get out of their way. And, you know, don't know about Buddy Hield, but I'm talking about Ja Morant. Very young talent who the NBA was desperately trying to pass the torch after LeBron James to him. They wanted him to be the face of the franchise. And it seemed like he's doing everything he possibly can to just deter that. You're about to be the face of the NBA, bro. You mean to tell me you can't keep it together enough to go out and get a $200 million, a $300 million deal? Because that's the numbers they throwing around in the NBA nowadays. And you're in that situation to where once that new player agreement comes in, you are probably one of the guys that will be able to benefit the most from it.
No doubt. It's mind-boggling, to be honest with you. Some more on that. And again, just to tidy up the Jokic triple-double. So he had 61 points in that game. It's the third 60-point triple-double in league history. Luka did it against the Knicks back in 2022. James Harden did it against the Magic back in 2018.
James Big Beard.
Yeah.
Harden.
Pretty amazing there. Sources saying that Carmelo Anthony's been elected to the Hall of Fame. I don't think there's any surprise to that whatsoever.
Come on, man. First ballot.
Yeah, I think
all
that's
the way through.
easy, right?
Yeah. That's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I would say so on that as well. How about this? Cade Cunningham, we talk about Draymond Green making big statements saying he was is the greatest defensive player of all time. Cade Cunningham has come out and said, quote, "I think I could be the best basketball player in the world."
Okay.
He's playing well. Pistons are playing well.
He's playing good. Yes.
You like the confidence. I like that.
Love the confidence, but
I'm not sure it's based in reality, but I like the confidence.
Yes. Yours is further out there than what Draymond Green is talking about, because at least Draymond can throw out 4 championships behind his. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's got a little more to back it up. All right, let's look at the games tonight. As we said, we'll be scoreboard watching this one for sure, as the Mavs are at home against the Hawks. Anthony Davis, again, is playing. The Mavs are 4-1 with AD. Hawks, it's an important game for Atlanta, too. They know they're going to be in the play-in. They're playing for play-in position right now. If you look at that Eastern Conference side of it, all 10 teams are pretty much decided. You've got the Hawks. They're in that 8th spot right now. They're percentage points behind the Magic, so they could get that first play-in home game potentially. Then you've got the Heat in the 9th spot, Bulls in the 10th spot. They're all kind of bunched up. I mean, all these teams could finish anywhere from 7 to 10.
The sad thing about Atlanta for me is that outside of Trae Young, I don't even know who's on the Atlanta roster.
They've lost pieces. I mean, DeAndre Hunter was moved. Bogdanovich was moved. So you're right. It's a team that
John Collins moved.
Capella's still there.
Capella's still hanging on.
Capella is still in a Hawks uniform.
Man.
So, but you're right. It's not the standard roster that you normally think of when you're looking at the Atlanta Hawks. That's for sure. But they've been playing pretty good basketball, and Risha Shea is a really nice piece.
Yeah, he's
for sure. Kongwu. He's played young. Nice Dyson rookie. Daniels.
Right.
They've got some pieces.
Right. They got pieces, but they're young.
They're not household names.
Yeah, and they're young.
Yeah.
They're young. So I'm looking at Atlanta like, okay, now are you guys thinking about the future when Trae leaves? Because Trae done been there for what, 7, 8 years now?
It's been that long?
I think so.
He was in the same draft as Luka. How many years has Luka been in the NBA?
5,
at least 5, 6, maybe.
Yeah.
It's
but I'm saying, but it's coming up time to where
Yeah.
a player's going to be like, well, I gave it all I could here. Let me move on and go somewhere else.
Yeah, no doubt. All right. Well, we're all Hawks fans tonight. We'll take the break. When we come back, we'll focus in on the Kings and the Wizards. Is it a revenge game for Valanciunas tonight? Can you call it revenge? I think it's a grateful game for Valanciunas tonight. A thank you game for Washington moving him. I don't know why he would feel any sense of revenge or like being upset with Washington.
A revenge game for Toonie Tunes. I don't know.
I don't know if he can get that worked up about it.
I'm having to think about that one, Scott.
All right. That's why we've got the break. All right. Game nights, as always, being brought to you by our good friends at Power Business Technology. Experience for yourself how the Power of Family can help you with all your business copier needs. Give them a call today, 1-844-POWER-BZ, or go to powercopiers.com. More of Game Night right here, Sacktown Sports 1140.
All right, we are back live on YouTube.
What do you think, Anthony? Revenge game tonight for Valanciunas?
I kind of want to dig into that.
Is he just chomping at the bit in that locker room right now to get back at Washington?
Some people can just make stuff up, and
if it were Michael Jordan,
angry.
he would definitely be all upset about it. I don't know if Valanciunas works that way or not.
Yeah, I don't think he has that temperament, but I would love to see more shots up, like we talked about earlier. He only took 2 shots, right? He only took 2 shots last game.
That's terrible.
So, he only played 8 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what? But still, the dude could be an asset, though. That's why, I'm not understanding why we're not using what we have at our disposal. I would use that dude a lot more than what we do.
Well, we know his strengths for sure. He can score. He can post up. He's a pretty decent passer. All those things. He can eat up space in the lane. We also have seen what some of the negatives are, and you touched about it. He's not a good stretch defender.
No, we know that.
So you've got to figure out how to use him.
Right. You don't even put him in those type of situations. And, at that particular point, you can't have him on the floor.
Yeah.
If you got a foul, let's say you're playing Golden State and they got a guy standing outside shooting threes. Well, Valanciunas won't be in the game at that particular point.
Right. Yep. No, exactly. What else going on in the chat?
I just want to say that one of my favorite moments during these games is when Valanciunas is in the game and I hear G-Man talk about him. And as soon as he's like bully ball, I know that in 30 seconds, I can look right there and see Henry point at the TV as like I told you so, do that again. Little like peek into what it's like being a board op here is that. I think the chat suggested a Rashawn Holmes revenge.
Yeah,
game.
or Colby Jones.
Yeah. So
That's more
Colby
so.
Jones.
Absolutely.
Now, Colby Jones.
Yes.
100% sure.
Yes.
It's like, I'm a young fella.
Yep.
I'm still salty about how y'all did me, but I'm on a new crew. Give me the ball. Put me in, coach.
Over under 10 shots by him.
Is he playing?
I don't know. He did not play against Miami.
Because
I'll check that right now.
Yeah.
Because they've been saying he's on the bubble with his G League.
He's still questionable.
Yeah,
I have to get that up.
Yeah. He did not play against Miami, so that's a great question for sure.
Hey, I'd give up Miami to play against Sacramento.
They might have been saving him.
Yeah, say, no. Y'all can save me against Miami, but Sacramento, put me in, coach.
Are you surprised Rashawn Holmes is still on that Wizards roster? I mean, after the trade deadline and everything else, it seemed like he would be moved because they don't really use him
at all. And really, Scott, in today's game, I think he's a very viable center that you can use off the bench.
Yeah.
I think he can help somebody. It's not like the dude is just a dinosaur to where he can't give you no productivity. I mean, he's got a high energy, right?
Yeah.
You know, he plays defense at a very decent level, right? He rebounds the basketball decent. So I'm like this. If Alex Lynn can go to LA and start, you mean to tell me Rashawn Holmes couldn't?
Yeah, it's interesting. It'd be really interesting to see what happens to him in the offseason. To be surprised if he came back. All right, we'll get ready to come back here. Welcome back in the game day right here, Sacktown Sports 1140. We're taking you till 3:30 today, getting you ready for Kings Live pregame. Jason Ross in for that with the high flyer. 4 o'clock tip today. G-Man in Washington with the call. Kings and Wizards. Sacramento looking for their 37th win of the season, looking to tie and hoping for a Mavericks loss, which would put them ahead of Dallas into that 9th spot in the play-in situation. Game day being brought to you by Howard Gumbo. On Friday, we're going to have to cater in some Howard Gumbo for the broadcast. Well, why can't we?
Hey, you know what? Hey, I'm down for it. Let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen. Howard Gumbo open Thursday and Fridays, 11 to 8, Saturdays and Sundays, 2 to 8. Check them out, 2120 Marconi Avenue. Check out that $5 gumbo. All right, it's time for our Ginger and Hammer injury report. And with that, Anthony, take it away.
All right, let's start with the Sacramento Kings because it's a lot easier to read that. Devin Carter and Jake LaRavia are still out, and that is it for the Kings. Then for the Wizards, I have a laundry list. Sadiq Bey, Malcolm Brogdon, Bilal Coulibaly, Kaishan George, Corey Kispert, Chris Middleton, and Marcus Smart are all out. Colby Jones is still questionable. I'm looking for more updates. I'll update if we have that before the end of the show. Then JT Thor is available on a G League contract.
It's pretty slim pickings for the Wizards.
You know, I joked early on the Rise guys. I mean, not the Rise guys, but the Drive guys. And I said, you know, they called me like about 15, 20 minutes ago, but I told them I had better things to do. I had to go do game day. You know, that's just how bad the Wizards are trying to find players, man. I mean, woo, they are desperate for anybody to be out there in the Wizards jersey.
That team, it just, you know, really smells of they desperately want the number 1 pick in the draft. And they're fighting with Utah right now for worst record in the league.
You know, and if that's where you have to be and that's where you are, then fine. You know, hey, just sit everybody, throw you a G League team out there, and maybe you'll find something out of some of these young guys, you know, see who can play, who can't play, who would you know, move forward with, because it's definitely experimental time with them. I don't even know why Jordan Poole is still suiting up.
Yeah, and he is, and he went for 35 last time against Miami. Obviously, he's the biggest threat out there on the floor for the Wizards. What about him defensively tonight? What do you do against Jordan Poole?
See if he's knocking down some shots, because Jordan Poole is the type to where he's almost like Buddy Hield-like. If he's hitting, yeah, you might have to want to, double team or get the ball out of his hands. But if he's just throwing up everything at the rim and it's just clanking, well, one-on-one defense. And really, he's going to be their alpha when it comes down to scoring the basketball. So whoever we're going to put on him, Keegan Murray, Keon, just stay with Jordan Poole. Everybody else, stay at home. Don't let these others get rolling, because if you let the others get rolling, that's when you're going to have a problem.
Yeah, no question. As you said, they're wearing an NBA uniform for a reason. And anybody on a given night can be a problem. The Kings want to avoid that, of course. But besides Jordan Poole, there hasn't been a lot of scoring for the Wizards. That's fair to say. For Sacramento tonight, we talked about it earlier in the YouTube chat room. But really, I think it's time that Malik gets put back in that starting lineup.
I do too. I mean, I really think the Kings were playing their best ball when Malik was in the starting lineup. So, that's where I would go to. I mean, at the end of the day, we're trying to get this team back to where, they were playing decent ball. And at that particular point, Malik was starting.
Yep. You're calling it the get back and get right game.
Hey, get right game. Yes. Got to get these guys right.
Well, there's not a better opportunity than there is this afternoon to do so for Sacramento. I mean, this Washington team and then Charlotte on Friday, two great opportunities, because again, you're closing out the road trip. You're going to be on a back-to-back, Cleveland, then Detroit, then you're coming home for the final three. You've got Denver, the Clippers, and Phoenix to finish out the year.
Yeah, you got two more games on the road, and they're not quote unquote the heaviest games. So you can get, yourself right. You can get some confidence, because that's where you're going to need to be. You can get these games, get some confidence. Hopefully you get back on track, because these three at home aren't going to be easy basketball games.
Not at all. In the case of Denver and the Clippers, they're going to be playing for a lot. Who knows what might happen on the very last game versus the Suns.
Right. You don't know what that game is going to mean, but you do understand that when you get back, you got two games to where you need to be playing better brand of basketball.
Yeah, no question. All right, so this is the get right game for the Kings. Most importantly, it's get a W game for the Kings.
W2, but get right more important.
All right, that's going to do it for game day. Henry, it's always great to work with you. Have a great call this afternoon.
Yes, sir.
All right, game day, as always, brought to you by the Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Sacramento. If you have a heart of service, you want to do something good for the kids in our community, Big Brothers, Big Sisters is a great way to do that. There are a lot of kids in our area. They come from single-parent households. They could use an outside volunteer mentor in their life. That's what Big Brothers and Big Sisters does. They pair up people in our community with children who are in need of that outside volunteer mentor. If you have interest, please check out bbbs-sac.org, bbbs-sac.org. You can get all the information there. All right, coming up, Kings and Wizards. It's Kings Live pregame, followed by the call of the game tonight. G-Man with the call. It's the third game of the 6-game road stand. Sacramento at 3 games below 500. They're just looking for wins right now. They got to find a way to chalk up some W's and keep in the play-in situation. Ideally, they want to get to the 9 versus the 10 spot, because at least they would have one home game and then a chance to play somewhere on the road with a chance to actually get in the playoffs and take on Oklahoma City. Keep it tuned here all afternoon and evening long. We've got you covered. Sacramento Kings basketball coming your way on a Wednesday right here on Sacktown Sports 1140.
Keegan Murray plays here.
Keegan scores another three-pointer. Keegan Murray knocking it down for